Hello everyone, it's Amy and welcome back for week 121 of Build Your Stash and Craft. Today we are going to make decorative storage tins to store some of our little crafty bits in. And so I have got some things prepared a little bit ahead of time just to make it go a little faster. What I did to start with was I used my paper cutter and I cut 1/2 inch strips of paper, and I used this, oops, sorry for bumping that, this paint and marker pad from the Dollar Tree. You can use any kind of paper at all. You can use book pages. You can use anything that you'd like to. And then what I did was I took my bead roller that we made, and you can use any type of bead roller that you have. We also have some that we made earlier in the year, or in the series, that we made out of little bamboo skewers. So this is the one that we made with the cutter keys. And then all you're going to do is you're going to roll, and however many you're going to roll is going to be up to you. On the first one that I did, I rolled 10 strips, and then I did another one which I lost count, but I think it was either 7 or 8 strips. And that's going to depend on the size of the little gems that you have, just in case they're a different size. So I will show you that in a second, but all I do is I roll my first strip and then I take it off the roller, because at that point in time I don't need the roller anymore. I'm just going to hold on to both ends and then just put a little bit of glue. Oops, dropped my glue. I'm going to just put a little bit of glue in about the last quarter of, or 1/2 inch or so, and then just put another strip in there. And we're not trying to glue this together. Sometimes when you're rolling beads, every so often you go through and you put glue on it to hold it together. We do not want to do that, because we're going to shape this bead when we're done. So we want it to be able to move. Now when you do that, you're going to have to hold that little glue spot. And if that one little part glues together, that's okay. But just hold it till you get this paper around. If you pull real tight on this paper before you get past where you glued it, you'll pull this piece of paper right off. So, and then just continue rolling. And I wanted to say that if you have a paper shredder, the type of paper shredder that cuts long strips, those shredded pieces of paper work great for this. They're about 1/4 inch wide, and I just love those. Papa has an old paper shredder that cuts the strips like this, and it's starting to get a little bit cranky. And so again, what I was saying here is, let me just show you quick. See, this is kind of separating a little bit. You can either hold that for just a minute till it grabs, or you can just hold on to it as you roll it, and then when you let go, just don't pull hard until here it is. Make sure that you get past that point. Once you get past that point, you can start pulling on it again, because you do want to keep your bead tight, but you don't want to pull it apart. So, but what I was saying about the paper shredder is Papa has an old one, and so I was going to go buy myself one for my craft room, because his is getting a little bit cranky. And I went to buy them, and everywhere that I saw them, I think they're called like cross cut or something. So they cut the strips, but then they cut them into little tiny bits. So that was really disappointing. Excuse me. Whoopsie, I pulled it off. Stick it back in there. So yeah, I'm going to keep my eyes open at like second-hand stores, and maybe I'll look on Craigslist and see if I can find one, because I want one that cuts the long shreds, because they work really good, and you can use them in so many different things in your art. You could use the cross-shredded ones too, I'm sure, but not for making beads, unless you wanted to put, that'd be an awful lot of little pieces to put together. But yeah, I mean, it works good for cutting your strips. It would work really good for, what do they call that? I can't think of it now. There's something where you have all the little strips and you roll them up and you make flowers and stuff out of them. Oh, sorry, that just totally left my head, so I can't even tell you what I'm talking about. But they would work good for that too, I think. You could put colored paper in there and use it for that. I think I'm gonna, now what we're gonna do is, I'm going to, here's one of my gems. So I'm going to take my gem and I'm going to hold it on there. It's not quite as big as my gem. It's a little bit, we've got a little bit over there. So I'm going to do maybe one more piece. And then you can even make them bigger than this, and I'll show you what they look like when you make them bigger than this. But also then, as I was looking at it, then I got this idea, and I thought, well, this would be really cool to make it the same size as the gem. And I'll show you why we make it the same size in just a second. I think this will be our last piece, so I need to hold that in place. There we go. I got that one off just a little bit, but that's okay. It's kind of squishing down as I roll it and press on it. But we're going to get to the end, and even at the end, we're only going to do about a half an inch of glue. And then that one we're going to want to hold there for a second until it, or just kind of keep rubbing across it until it actually takes a good hold. Let's see if that's about the size of our gem. And now it's still just a little bit smaller than our gem, but this one I wanted to make just a touch smaller. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my gem, put the little point of the gem in the hole, and holding on to just the edges of the bead, push down on the gem. It's going to push that bottom out, and then I'm going to kind of push that bottom back up in there so that I get this nice shape to it. Just like that, and that's going to really make that, all that paper is going to be touching the gem. And then this is your little handle. Isn't that cute? So that looks, it reminds me of those, there's a lot of paints and stuff coming out now, and glitter glues and that type of thing, that they have a little gem on top. So this one I made, I think that this one was with either 10 or 12, and this one is bigger than my gem. And originally my thought was to put it on our jar and to put the gem on top like that, which is cute. But then after I had pushed it all out and everything, I thought, ooh, the gem would fit in there. So I put the gem in there, but the gem is way down in there, and I didn't like that. So that's why I rolled another one here that is the size of my gem. And with this one, because it was as big as my gem, the gem fits in completely. This one is a little bit smaller than the gem, so the gem sticks out a little bit. And I think I like it sticking out a little bit better than all the way in. And you definitely don't want one this big, because then it just kind of disappears in there. So we can either do it this way and attach it like this to our jar. And so that would be our lid, and then put some flowers around there. Like I said, if you have the 1/4 inch, or you could cut these strips 1/4 inch. I was too lazy to do that. And then it would be, this wouldn't be so wide. That would be the only benefit to it. Now, for when you're going to put them inside, I think you might want to have it, you know, that wide. It just gives you a little extra something, something. And then what I'm going to do is just sand this a little bit flat so that it's not just a tiny, tiny point. It's got a little bit more. You can do that right now. So it'll have a little bit more flatness to it. And I'm holding my gem in there because I want to hold this shape while I'm doing this. And then I'm just going to sand off that paper to give me a little bit more to glue to so that it can hold better. I do apologize for the shaking when I do this. Just like that. And see, now I have a much better area to glue to. So there we go. That's not the one I actually wanted to use. This is the one I wanted to use because I wanted it to be a little bit sticking out the top. So again, sorry for the shaking, but I really want to do this one. And I just think that these are just cute. And once you get your, and you can put this on top of a box, you can put it on top of a jar. You just want something that you can attach it to. And So I like tin, plastic, cardboard. I don't particularly like glass. It doesn't seem to attach as well. There, now we have a nice... I still want to have some of this here. I just wanted to have a flat spot there. So that's what I'm going to put on the top of my tin when I'm done. Excuse me. Now this one, I painted with fingernail polish. I don't know, maybe I still will do this one. I kind of like how they lift up off like that. And then because that's so tall, I would put some decorative flowers around there. Now these are decorative, they're decorative handles. You wouldn't want to pull on them to take the top off your can. You're still going to want to take the top off your can like this, because we're just going to glue them on there. If you wanted to make them sturdier, you could drill a hole in the top of your can and put some kind of a screw or a nut and bolt through it, and then it would hold better. But that would just be, you know, if you wanted to pull on it. And I still don't know that I would really want to pull on it. It is just paper. So, but I'm just getting out my water glue here, and I have already painted my tin. I painted my tin with white paint to cover up the all of the printing and everything, because I'm going to put a napkin on it, and so I don't want all that printing to show through my napkin. And when you put your napkin on with the water glue, with whatever you're going to put it on with, it gets kind of transparent, so anything underneath is going to show through if you don't paint it white first. It doesn't have to be perfect. This isn't perfect, but it is good enough that it's not going to be bam, you know, like right in your face. I've already taken off, this is one of the napkins I got earlier this year, and I've already taken off the back layer. Don't forget, whenever you Mod Podge something, let me see, I need to cut this. If you're going to decoupage something onto or with a napkin, make sure you take off the second layer. I did a journaling card, and it was so cute. And I thought, why is my glue not sticking? I realized it wasn't really my glue that wasn't sticking. My glue was sticking to the second part of the napkin just fine. It just wasn't sticking to the front part because I left the 2 layers on there. And so then I'm just going to put... And I'm going to start at the crease here in the can, and just put my napkin on here. Now, do not do the rim, excuse me, on your can or on your lid, the inside of your lid. Don't do that, because otherwise they won't want to fit together. And even if you can force them together, they're not going to want to come apart. So always, whenever you're doing anything, if you're doing a box or anything like that, don't do the inside of where they have to come together. Because even just a little bit of paint, you would think it wouldn't make a difference. It makes a difference, a really big difference. Now, you can be really, really super finicky about this and make sure that it's perfect. I like a little bit of texture in here, so I'm not going to be super finicky. I'm going to let there be a little bit of texture and wrinkles in here because I like the looks of that. If you don't like the looks of that, then you will just, you know, take a little bit more time with it. I want it to be kind of flat, but I'm not worried about if there's kind of a spot that's going to wrinkle. I'm just going to push that down and let it wrinkle. So once we get this on here and it's dry, I will put another coat on top to seal it and to make it adhere even better. And we'll do the same thing with the lid. Oh, I hope this isn't shot. I'm not paying any attention. I hope you're seeing this. I'm going to have to redo it. Although if I redo it, I'll just have an extra can, won't I? But these will work good to hold all of your little bits, even like your little handmade bits. You know, if you make a whole bunch of paper beads or something like that and you need a place to store them, this makes great storage, and it's very cute to sit it out on your desk or on a shelf. Now I just pulled my napkin apart right here, so I'm going to try and just kind of pull it back just a little bit. Flatten it down in there. That's the other nice thing, even if whatever you have underneath doesn't have so much print on it as these tins do, it still is nice to have that white backing so that everything kind of blends together if you like get a little rip or something in it. Excuse me today, just a little tiny bit of a cold. So there we go. And now I'm just going to, where it's wet here, I'm just going to hold where it's wet and give it a little bit of pull, making sure that I'm staying on this side of my of the crease right there. Well, did I just mess it up? Nope. And actually you could let it dry before you do this part, and it would probably be a whole lot easier, because my thumb as I'm trying to hold this is actually sticking to the newspaper. But I get a little bit impatient sometimes. There we go. Now I am not going to cut the bottom off until it's dry. But there we go. Isn't that cute? I just think that that is so cute. I'm going to set that up and then just kind of pick what it is that I want to put on my lid. I want a little crab right on top. It doesn't make much of a difference. I think that I like that, but I'm going to go to this piece over here where I can get a little bit more of it. That was a little too close to the edge, I think. We're going to put the little knob on top. So if you put a really cute picture on top, you can leave it that way, or you can put the knob on top, but it is definitely going to cover up your picture. And now I've still done it. I've just ripped it a little too short, but you know what? I'm going to call that good. I've got the sides of my tin painted, so any place where the napkin doesn't go, it's just going to be white, and I am going to save for purpose of speed's sake. Move it this way just a little bit. Maybe I will have enough. And you can do your second coat like this on top while the bottom is still wet. A lot of times I don't do that because the napkin is so fragile at this point that it rips easier if you put the top coat on. It works better if you let the bottom coat of glue dry and then come in and put your top coat of glue on. Now this one, because I have to go around the edges and everything, and I need to push it down, I am going ahead and putting the top coat on. Just get in there and get the glue on the edges. And use my brush to just brush it down. This tin has a little bit of a ridge on it, so I want to go ahead and push that napkin into the ridge just so that we don't lose that look. Okay, now I'm gonna, that's a deep bowl. Grab a little bit of glue, and I've got a bubble right here. You shouldn't touch your napkin with a dry finger. If you do, if you're trying to push out, smooth out a wrinkle or push out a bubble, if your finger's dry, what's going to happen is it's just going to stick right to your finger, and then it's going to just rip off. So you need to have some of the water glue on your fingers if you're going to press it down with your hands. And so there we go. I just have to get this last little spot where I was holding on to it. And that's good. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to set this on a piece of parchment and let it dry. Don't put it on your top because it could kind of stick. It could stick on the sides and cause a little bit of a problem. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let this dry. I'm going to let this dry, and then I'll be back and we will put the little handles on. Okay, while that's drying, I'm going to show you how we do the bead cap. So what I did was I just went ahead and I held my finger here so that I wouldn't push back that way, and I just put this back on my bead roller a little bit. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to paint it with fingernail polish. It'll give us a nice lacquery look. You know, there's lots of different kind of paints out there. Well, I might be gonna use there we go. I couldn't get it open. There's a lot of paints and stuff that have lacquer looks and metallic looks and all of that kind of stuff. But you know, you can get these fingernail polish at the dollar store for $1, a whole lot cheaper than the others. It's got the great applicator. It dries really fast, and it has not only the lacquer look but the lacquer strength. So it really is a really good alternative to metallic paints as far as I'm concerned. Unless, like, I don't do this very often when hubby's home because he does not like the smell of fingernail polish. And he's lucky that I wasn't a girly girl because I've never been one to paint my nails, so he's never really had to put up with it, except now that I'm crafting and I've decided it's a great paint. Now every so often he has to deal with it. And he just really doesn't like it. I don't know why, but he can't stand the smell. And you're going to want to paint the inside, even though your glass is going to be inside. I think if we paint the inside, it will kind of like, because I got clear crystals, I think that it will kind of shine through the crystal. Now, if you got colored crystals, and you're painting the outside a different color than the crystal is, then you might want to leave it white, so the white will make that color of your crystal pop. Whereas, like, let's say you got a purple one. If you left it white, the purple would really stand out because it would have the white behind it. But this right here, because it's so dark and you got a purple crystal, the two colors would kind of fight with each other and just kind of, this would make the purple look really dark. And so the color would really kind of, you'd lose the color of your little diamond, I think. That's just kind of my thought to it. So, and this will definitely need 2 coats around the outside. I'm only going to do the 1 coat on the inside because you are not going to see it. And I'm going to be careful about getting too close to my bead roller. Now, if you do get too close to your bead roller, you just clean it off with your fingernail polish remover. And but I'm going to glue it there, so I don't need to get right up onto that flat spot, because that flat spot that we sanded, that's going to be glued down. So if I get a little up there, it's not going to hurt anything, but I don't have to paint it there, which means I don't have to get right up next to my bead roller and clean it later, because I'm just lazy like that. I'd rather not have to clean it. And the one thing about when you're doing paper like this is the first coat really does kind of sink in. So it doesn't really get very shiny until you put the second coat on. So there we go. I think I've got that coated as well as I want. I'm going to let this dry a little bit, and I'm just going to go stick this in my tool caddy so it'll stand up, and let that dry, and then put a second coat on it. And I am going to put the I'll put the decoupage, I'll put the water glue on the outside of the tin also so that it's done, and then I will be back. Okay, I'm back again. I thought I ought to show you this as I was doing it. I haven't put this is dry now, but I haven't put the outside coat of my decoupage on here. But I want to get all of this extra off now that it's dry before I get it wet again. And the way to do that, and you've probably seen this before, but just take your sandpaper and pull down and away from your project, because there's a little lip right here, and I don't want to lose that lip, and I want a nice clean cut. Scissors would make it kind of jagged. If I rip it, I might rip up into this little edge right here. So if you do this, it just gives you a really nice clean cut, and you just keep going down until the paper just falls right off. And you can do this with regular paper, tissue paper, napkins. It doesn't matter what it is. Whenever you've got a piece of paper hanging over the edge of something and you want to get it off nice and cleanly, and you have something solid underneath to sand against, sandpaper is your best way to cut it. So I just want to show you that real quick. I'm going to get the outside edge. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back, and it's all dry, and it turned out really nice. I think it's really cute. And so now what I'm going to do is, here we go. I put a second coat of fingernail polish on the bead, and I'm going to take our gem and glue it inside. And I'm going to use our super glue that we have just because I think it will hold it better. And it dries really clear. Whoops, dropped it. So I'm just going to come about halfway up the gem because the gem fits in there so nice and tightly. I don't want it to squish out the top. So I'm not going to get the glue real close to the top, just about halfway up. And then put it in there. And see, the blue does shine right through the gem. I think that's pretty cool. I'm just going to get that put down in there. Okay. Now my fingernail polish is not super dry. But we're going to pretend it is. I'm going to set that down for just a second. Now this would be the point, too, where you could decorate. I pulled out some of this bling, and I think that that might look kind of cute on there. Maybe at the top and the bottom. I tried it around the lid, and 2 was too many. It was too tall with 2. And so I did, try it with just 1. But I'm just really not liking it. I don't like it on the lid. So I don't really want to do that. But I think that I will put some. And I think I'll use our super glue for this also. And I'm just going to put the glue right where the crack is. At the top and the bottom. And then I think I'll kind of come over here at the middle in the front. And put a little bit right there. Oops, and you know what? I know I need to cut off 1 set of these. I was 1 too long when I cut them. There we go. Easier to do before I attach it on here. I'm just going to wrap it around there. And that's the nice thing about the gel super glue too. It grabs pretty quickly. Make sure that I'm slid up to the lip on the front. Not sure where I put the extra glue at. So I'm just going to kind of push it all around. There we go. And then just put the other one at the bottom. There we go. There, so that looks cute. Whoops. Matches the color of the coral really nicely. I don't think I have any, I don't have any glue right there. And now I have way too much glue right there. Good thing that's the back. There we go. Alrighty. So that, and you can, you can just decorate it up, to your heart's content. Decorating is really not my forte. I just am not good at it. I'm on the construction end of things. That I enjoy doing. The decorating always kind of throws me a little bit. Never know exactly what to do. Now, if you want this to be perfect, you can measure and find your center. I'm just going to kind of guess. And it probably will not be perfect, but Yeah, I'm going to say that's pretty good. I have a little burr on my little gem here. If I would have noticed that before I started, I would have taken that off with a bit of sandpaper. I don't know if you can see it or not. There's a little burr right there, but it's not going to hurt anything. But if you see something like that, you can always just knock it a couple times with your sandpaper, and that will take it right off. So here we go, though. There's what the top looks like. And I just brought out some flowers just to kind of show you. You could just take some little flowers and put them all around here. And I might do that later. To tell you the truth, probably not, just because I never really decorate much of anything. But they would look cute on there like that. And you could do them, you could color them with your dyes, or leave them white, or make them cream. But those would look really cute on top too. Oh, looking through the screen, they look even cuter than in person. But yeah, so you can do like that. You can put blingies up there. You can do all sorts of things to decorate them. But it just makes a cute little decorative can. And again, when you take the lid off, take it off this way instead of pulling on the knob. And you know, the knob is on there pretty good, and it's, you know, it'll be nice and solid when it's dry. But I think that that turned out really cute. So, and for next week, for our series, I'm going to have to be right back because I didn't grab it. Okay, I'm back. For next week, we're going to pick up from the dollar store. We're going to pick up one of these shipping labels. Now these shipping labels are like 4 inches by 6 inches, so they're a really nice size. This is one solid piece, and we did get some of these way earlier in the series, but I'm almost out. You may be almost out, so we're going to pick up some more because you may be using a lot of them, because sometimes you'll be using the whole sheet. So we're going to pick up these, and that's $1. And then I'm going to say to pick up no, we'll save that for another time. This is what we're going to do next week. We're just going to pick up the labels because the other one is something totally different. So pick up some labels for next week, and that's all we'll need. So that's $1, and that'll put $4 in our bank. That's going to bring our bank up to $34.50. So we're doing good again. Time to maybe look for another large item. So I hope that you like the project that we did this week. I really like them. Oh, look, because I laid it on its side, the top fell off. There we go. I do really think those are really cute, though, with the little gem in them. And like I said, you can do it that way, or you could do it this way with the gem on top, or you could even just do them like this and put them on there. But yeah, I hope that you enjoyed this project. You can use these little knobs for so many different little things, and you could even use them as little faux drawer pulls, or like I said, if you actually do there is a hole in the middle, so if you put a bolt through the middle with a nut on the end, you actually could attach it to something where it would be pretty sturdy. It is just paper, but it's pretty solid paper, so you could really use it for a knob if you actually put a real bolt in it. So, but I hope that you enjoyed this project, and if you make some, that you really have fun doing it. I think they're great storage, and that's what I'm going to use mine for. Thank you for stopping by. I really do appreciate all of your support, and I hope that you all have an outstanding day. Bye-bye.